Hey guys, Solobass here. Let me tell you about this video. This video is actually a response to a series of questions a good friend of mine has posted. This friend of mine I've met on YouTube actually a while ago. He posted a comment on my channel and I posted a comment back on his channel, and we developed interesting dialogue actually between each other, and he's actually taken a huge interest in my music. Part of what I do, I wish I could have more dialogues about it, about my art, about my music. Kind of wish that more people would take a deeper look into it and feel the desire to discuss what goes on, behind the scenes, and how is it affecting the audience, how are people perceiving it, how do people see it, how do you see my music, how do you perceive me through the music that I make. I have briefly read the questions, but I haven't actually thought about them. So basically I'm trying to get as candid a response as I can. So I'm the kind of person that takes his time to think about things before saying stuff. So this is actually quite challenging for me. But I'm going to try to be as candid and give you as real a response as I can for you, Eric, and for my audience out there. So I'm going to read the first question. From watching your vlogs, I believe that a lot of your songs are autobiographical, and others are imaginative stories. As a musician and composer, what is your process? Now, I want to talk about my process. How do I make the songs? Now, let me simply say off the bat that writing songs for me from the very beginning was sort of a way to express myself, to kind of give a canvas to my feelings. It was also inspired by various musicians and artists that I had listened to in the past, and got me thinking, how do I get to be a part of this? There will be little cuts in the video, either because I want to make it a bit shorter so there won't be too many videos as the response, and also because my camera only takes 3 minutes at a time of videotaping, which is really annoying. I wish I could just do it all straight. Anyways, let me continue to talk about the imaginative, the process as a creator of music. And to this day, it still is a very similar process. First, I will usually play my guitar and come up with a riff that I think sounds nice, either a set of chords or a set of maybe just 3-string chords, or even a solo riff, and then I'll usually just see what my voice adds to it, because I think that's one of the exciting things for me about music, is that there's always something new or interesting you can do on top, and there's layers and layers and layers, and music is about creating the best layers on top of the existing layers. I play it on the guitar, and then I sing, and usually I don't have lyrics for it. I feel it out, I feel it through. Sometimes when I'm singing, I'm just singing random words, random lines, just whatever comes off on the top of my head, and sometimes I'll stick with that. Whatever comes off actually ends up being what the song is going to be about. Sometimes I have to give it more thought, sometimes I'm more deliberate and write lyrics about something specific that I want. And usually there's one, maybe sometimes 2 or 3 drafts when I'm writing the lyrics. Sometimes I like it right off the bat. Sometimes I change some things after writing it through the first time. Sometimes I change the song a little bit. Sometimes I feel like, oh, this song sounds good with an older song that I wrote. So I put 2 songs together, I mash them together, and that's how I make my music. And then when I start recording, then I can add more layers. I can add lead guitar, I can add bass guitar, I can add drums on top of that. Sometimes I'm writing songs on the bass guitar, and so that's basically how I get to the recording process, and how I write my songs. And about the inspiration behind songs are usually coming from what's going on in my life, unless I have a specific concept that I'm working on. So the next question says, I get the impression that Divide was mostly your creation with some help from others. How much would you say is you? How much help did you receive in creating it? Well, I don't know, it depends on how you look at it. I think if you think of it in a way of inspiration, there's a lot of artists out there that inspire my work, that have influenced how I write. my music. So I guess you could say that they play a huge part in my music and how I write today. But as far as the whole effort in the recording and the songwriting, it was mostly myself. Let me just go to the next question. In your past projects, you have collaborated with musicians over the internet. Tell us who was involved in Divide and how they contributed. I wanted to get this question as well at the same time because they're kind of related. And there was a video over a year ago that I made talking about what was CTS at the time, or the Clock Tower and the Subordinates, which was the beginning of the Divide album project. At the time, the album didn't have a name, but we were CTS.
What we did was we came together, we found each other on a website called newgrounds.com. I posted a message on the forum saying I wanted to work with people on an online collab project. Usually on a collab project on Newgrounds involves people just writing a part and recording that part, and then they just stick the parts one after the other. That's a collab project. But not the way I wanted to do it. Was I wanted to have layers, and we each record each instrument for the whole song.
There was one guitarist and two drummers, and I sent a song to both the drummers because I really wasn't expecting to get anything back in return from either of them. I thought if I get anything back from one of them, maybe I'll be lucky, because I've worked with people, and people just, you can't depend on them, especially online. I feel like you can ask them to do something and then it turns out to be a chore for them, and then they don't know you. They just stuff you in the closet of the internet somewhere and never remember you. But surprisingly, both came up with decent drum tracks to the same song that I sent to them. Basically, the song that I sent to them was Bear. I wanted to give them as much input and control as they could put into the song, and then I record is just a simple guitar track with the main vocals on a click track so that they could play along with it. Time. And they sent me back two drum tracks, and one of them was playing on electric drums and the other one was playing on plain drums on a real drum set. And I kind of got this idea in my head, hey, what if we do an album where there's two versions of each song on the album, and it can be like split in half and have 10 songs be more organic and 10 songs be more electronic experimental. So I went for that angle. I don't think that they bought into it entirely. It was a little bit non-conventional, a little too non-conventional for both the drummers, I think. The guitarist kind of got it, I think. The person I was working with, the guitarist, was Cor Rune, and I've listened to some of his stuff today, and I'll put a link in the sidebar if I remember. He's a fantastic guitarist and vocalist, surprisingly. I consider it an honor to have worked with him, and I also consider it an honor to work with the two drummers I worked with. They may not have been as prolific since that time. I haven't actually been able to find anything from them musically since that time, but they're both provided fantastic drum tracks to LMF, SL, Say Love, and Butter. And then the fifth song that was worked on with a separate drummer, actually. Before, I was working with people who I met mostly in America, but I also put a message in the Smashing Pumpkins board, and I met a drummer from Italy who ended up being able to record drums for the song Clone, which is a fantastic song and has a great drum track on it. And I felt like I fed off those guys' energy and they fed off my energy. I felt like it really led me to be able to produce some of the best work that I've ever produced, and really inspired me to really go out all the way. Really a great experience, but at the same time a real letdown, because starting to stay in contact with them, they would say that they're interested, they want to keep going, but in the end, after months of not getting anything back for the next track, I finally decided to cut them off and continue my own way with, an open window. I didn't destroy that bridge. I said, anytime you want to come and do it, you can, but they never did. So I went on from there and continued to produce tracks mostly solo.
I'm a misfit, I know.